Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Education Board.
Hello students, hope you're doing well. I'm Callixte, math teacher. Today we are going to learn together Mathematics for Senior Ones, unit number 5, that talks about ratio and proportionality. But our focus of today will be learning about proportion, and under that point, we'll be tackling what we call direct proportion. So let's go. This is unit number 5, ratio and proportion. Lesson and proportion. And our lesson will be number 3. We'll be talking about direct proportion. Direct proportion. Direct proportion. But you have to ask yourself before you go into details, what is direct proportion? Every one of you has to know how she or he can define direct proportion. We need to understand together the definition of direct proportion. In few words, when you have direct proportion, it means if one amount increases, you see, another amount also increases with the same rate. Yeah, suppose that you have two quantities. Maybe it's mass and volume, like in physics. Maybe it's the amount of money you need to earn, and also the number of hours you have to work. The main understanding here is to have two quantities. When you have one quantity over here and another one quantity over there, so you need to find how those two quantities are proportional. So from here, there is a symbol we use when we are showing that two quantities are proportional. I want you to understand that symbol. The symbol for proportion, we actually symbolize proportionality with this symbol. You see? But I don't want you to confuse this with the symbol of infinity, because many students sometimes they confuse the symbol of proportionality with the symbol of infinity. Remember, don't confuse this symbol with the one of infinity. Because if you remember very well, the symbol for infinity, we actually write it like this. This is the symbol for infinity. And there is a way you can read these symbols. Actually, we read this one as alpha, and we read this one as infinity, just as the meaning is written. I hope we are together. Now, from there, if you have two quantities, actually as the meaning is, when you have one quantity and it has to increase with another quantity, we need to go with an example so that you can understand better. Let's have one example. I have one example for you. Suppose that you have this. Do you look at this? I have one example for you. You are paid 1,000 an hour, and you need to calculate how much will you earn if we work 5 hours. This is what I was talking about. You have two quantities. There is the quantity of how many hours you have to work, and also there is a quantity or the amount of how much you have to earn. As you look at this, we have how much you earn should be proportional to how many hours you work. These are the two quantities I was talking about. This one is standing for one quantity, and the other one is standing for the other quantity. If one quantity, when you come back over here, if one amount increases, another also increases. Another amount, of course, also increases. Now, this is another amount. Another amount also increases. This is actually what I was explaining. You consider this one as one amount and the other one as one amount. So they are proportional because if one increases, another one also will increase. What does it mean? It means work more hours, you get more pay. If you work many hours, you will earn a lot of money because you've worked many hours. It means how much you earn is proportional to how many hours you work. Is it understandable? I hope you understand. It means if you're supposed to work like 10 hours, and for 1 hour you are paid 1,000, the amount of money you will earn will be much. Now, let's do this question together. Suppose that is a man, and he's supposed to work like 5 hours. And we need to calculate how much money that person will earn. We can do this together. The question is this one. Let's go with this example. Okay? We have 1,000 as the amount of money somebody has to earn per 1 hour. We can say we have actually 5 1 hour is proportional to 1,100 francs. If I work 1 hour, let me write it properly. If I work 1 hour, I'll be paid 1,000. What about if I work 5 hours? What about if I work 2 hours? What about if I work 3 hours? It means the number of hours I work will be proportional to how much I earn. Here it is. If I work 1 hour, I am supposed to be paid 1,000. Now, I have to work 5 hours. 5 hours. You see? These 5 hours, of course, you will be having to get this 1,000 you get per 1 hour, and you multiply 5 hours you get. You see? So it means if I work 5 hours, I will get 5,100 francs. There is something that I want you to know. Under this, there is what you call constant of proportionality. That's what I'm going to explain to you. What is constant of proportionality? Constant of proportionality. When we try to define what is constant of proportionality, it's actually the value that relates to amount. That's the definition. Constant of proportionality is the value. It is the value that relates the two amounts. The two amounts. Do you look at this? We have two amounts. You remember that what we talked before. We were actually explaining that direct proportion. If one amount increases, another amount also increases. Another amount also increases with the same rate. You see? Now, we are on the point of constant of proportionality. It is saying constant of proportionality is the amount that relates. I want you to have focus on this point, relates. It means if I have two quantities, they will be in need of one variable that can connect, that can bring together the two constants. Let's assume, as usual in mathematics, let's say one amount is y, and another amount is, for example, x. However, there is a need of knowing the value that can bring together these two variables. Because as you remember, we talked about a rate. If one amount increases, another amount will increase the same rate. Actually, we give the symbol of constant of proportionality by any letter you want. But we've chosen to use k as the constant of proportionality. Here it is what I have prepared for you. When you have y, it will be actually proportional to x, but when multiplied with the value k, which is called constant of proportionality. Do you look at this? This k we have over here, the k we have here, it's called the constant of proportionality. Okay? Now, from there, we can now learn the next examples. We call this one as the formula of the constant of proportionality. This is what you call constant of proportionality. Because it is relating to amount. We have one amount which is standing for y, and we have another amount which is standing for by x, and we have the letter k that relates the two amounts. Do you look at this? Now, from there, we are going to do the next example so that you can understand better. I have for you another example, but have a minute and you try to write this kind of summary. It looks very beautiful, and I want you to write it down. Whenever you are doing a summary, revision, you can look at it and see how actually we've discussed on proportional, which is actually direct proportion. Have 1 minute and you write it. I want you to write this summary. Just a minute. And as you're writing, remember every explanation of every single point. Remember that we've talked how much somebody is earning and how many hours somebody is working. So they are proportional. The more you work many hours, the more you get more payment. Write it down. I guess it's readable as you're writing them. Hope you've finished at least this first part. Let's erase and do the next example. I want to give you one more example, and then you understand better. I just want every one of you to understand this very well. Let's have the second example. Suppose that you are paid, example number 2. You are paid 5,000 Rwandan francs an hour. It looks like the first one. I want to just go step by step so that you can understand this better. And after that, we'll be actually learning other examples of application of this in everyday life, but they are over there. Now, so suppose that you are paid 5,100 francs an hour. Then how much will you earn if you work 3 hours? How much will you earn if you work 3 hours? We need to look at the solution for this. But before we go to the solution, I want you to try it. You first try it down. You are paid 5,100 francs an hour. That's probably the work you are doing. And if you work 1 hour, you will be paid 5,100 francs. And you need to calculate how much will you earn if we work 3 hours. If you work 3 hours, how much money will you earn? I want you to try it down, just on a paper. And when you finish, we're going to do it together. Hope you finished. Let's do it together. You are working 1 hour, and you are paid. This is 1 hour. If you work 1 hour, you are paid 5,100 francs. So if you're now paid 3 hours, you will get 5,000. Then you multiply 3 as the number of hours you get. Then you will earn 15,100 francs. 15,100 francs. There is one thing that I want you to tell me. From this, who can tell me the constant of proportionality? Who can show me the value of y? Who can show me the value of x? When you come back over here, look at this formula. We have y, which is proportional to x, times the constant of proportionality. So now, based on this example, we have this example. We have 5,000 times the 3 hours, and it's giving how much we earn within 3 hours. Who can tell me where is the y, where is k, where is x? Do you see? Let's try to find it together. As you can see, this is the amount you get when you work 3 hours. And from here, this is y. And then now here, this is the amount of money you do be paid over 1 hour. You see, now we have this one as x, and of course this one is k. Now, from there, if you finish to specify the k, the x, and the y, of course this is y, I want you to read it very well. So we are going to bring it and use this symbol so that we can see how one is proportion. Okay? I guess you finished this side because we've been working on this. Let's erase this. From this example we have, if we work 3 hours, as I have considered it as constant of proportionality, it will be equal to this constant times the much money you get per hour, and you get how much you will earn after 3 hours. It means, remember we've said y should be proportional to the x. You see? If it is proportion, it means if I have 15,000 here, how much money I will earn after 3 hours. It will be proportional to the 3 hours. But before you reach over here, you need to remember how it has been before. You had the 1,100 francs, which was proportional to 1 hour. Do you see how they are proportional? If we work only 1 hour, you will get 1,000. If we work 3 hours, you will get a payment of 15,000. So I want you actually to remember this. And I also want you to remember this symbol. Let me use a different color so that you can see it. This means y is proportional to x. 15,000 is proportional to 3 hours. The more you work many hours, the more you do get much money. I hope it's very understandable. Let me give you the third example, which is actually proportional to this exercise as we have it. Suppose that you have y. Let me have example number 3. Example 3. If y is, or maybe if x is equal to 3 and k is equal to 2, find y. Basing on the formulas, we have it over there. When you look at the solution, you will actually remember that you have y, which is equal to the constant of proportionality times the x. I'm giving you this example just to make you remember how do we remember that formula? How do we calculate the value of every letter? From there, you have this formula. I guess everyone remembers this. So we are asked to find the value of y. And of course, we have the value of k. Remember, this is the constant of proportionality. Do you remember this? I hope so. The constant of proportionality, here it is equal to 2. And then times the constant, times the value of x. How is equal to the value of x? It is a 3. You see? Now, y will be equal to 6. I hope it's very understandable. Now, I have a very good homework for you over there with so many questions around the 4 questions. These are the 4 questions. I just want you to take your time and they will write this homework. After writing this homework, we will have one question, then we do it together. But I surely want you to write it first of all. And as you're writing, I want to read it for you so that you may not get confused maybe to any one of the letters that is not well written. We have, I want you to remember this, it's all about dialect proposition. And this is a course for senior 1 students. One question, why is dialectically proportion to x? And when x is equal to 4, then y will be equal to 16. What is the constant of proportionality? You see, this question is actually helping us to remember where is y, where is x, where is constant of proportionality, and even to know how to calculate them. And I hope if you've understood this formula, it will be very easy for you to find the value of y, of k, or of x. The second question, a man earns 20,000 Rwandan francs in 5 days. I want you to remember this, in 5 days. If a man works 5 days, he will earn 27,000 Rwandan francs. What is his pay for 3 days? What is his pay for 3 days? I can tell you that this question, it helps us to understand why we need to learn this in everyday life. Because as you know, you can get a job somewhere, and they can say, hey, you will be paid this amount per day, or maybe per hour. So you need to calculate and find how much you will earn within this number of days, or maybe within this number of hours. The third question, and I hope you're writing down. I'm not reading only, I hope you are writing down. If the mass of 16 centimeter cubed metal is 20 grams, what is the mass of 30 centimeter cubed? The mass of that one, I guess, as you look at this question, it is in physics. As I'm reading to you this homework, I'm even trying to explain to you where you need to apply this subject, this lesson of today. In physics, we can use this. The other question, what is the value of y when x is equal to 9 and k is equal to 5? When you look at this question, it looks like this one. When you are given the value of x and the value of k, and you need to find the value of x, or maybe the value of y, or maybe the value of k. So I hope, as I have been reading to you, you've also written that. We're going to now do one question together before we finish our lesson. Do you need 1 more minute? You make sure that you finish to write it. As I'm cleaning somewhere we'll be using when we'll be doing one question from the homework as you have it over there. I hope you are almost done. This space will be enough for us to do one question. I hope you finished. Let's do one question together. Which one do you want? Well, let's have maybe 2. Question number 2. We can even do number 4. There is no problem. Let's do number 2 before we finish. from the homework. Question number 2. It reads, if a man earns 20,000 Rwandan francs in 5 days. A man earns 25,000, 27,000 Rwandan francs in how many days? Now you remember, we changed this. If he earns 27,000, that will be for 5 days. 25,000, 7,000 is proportional to 5 days. Do you look at this? If that man works 5 days, he will be paid 27,100 francs. The question is, what is his pay for 3 days? What is his pay for 3 days? In other words, if he earns 27,100 francs for 5 days, how much money will he get if he works 3 days? Do you look at this? Now, simple. You need to have the ones you have. You have 5 days and you have 3 days. You can say 5 days are proportional to 27,000 Rwandan francs. What about 1 day? Do you look at this? 1 day will be proportional to 27,000 Rwandan francs. You divide the 5 days he works. What about 3 days? 3 days will be proportional to the amount of money somebody gets over here. We can even do it. How much do we get over here? I want you to divide. We have now 27,000. You divide by 5. Here you put 5. You get 25. Subtract, you get 2. This is 0. You bring 0 down. This is 4, 20, 0. And you bring the zeros over there. We get this. Now, if he works 1 day, he will get 5,400 and 400 Rwandan francs. This is the amount of money he has to get if he works only 1 day. What about 3 days? It will be proportional to the amount he gets per 1 day times the number of days he has worked. What do we get? It is 3 over here. This is 0. 0. 3 times this is 12. 2, I get 1. Then 15. This is 16. We repeat. This is 0. 0. 2, I keep 1. And then 15, 16. He will get 16,200 Rwandan francs. As a summary, so means if he works 3 days, it will be proportional to 16,200 Rwandan francs. Let me try to summarize for you. We've been discussing dialect propulsion. And there is one formula which is very important. If you have one amount, let's say it's equal to y, it will be proportional to the constant of proportionality, then times the other amount. What does it mean? It means if one amount increases, the other amount increases also the same rate. That is actually the summary of what we've been discussing, which was dialect propulsion. In a few words, dialect propulsion, if one amount increases, the other amount also increases the same rate. I really thank you very much for being kind. Bye.